Hello and welcome back to the North Shore Station, your favorite sports podcast. I'm Luke Strazio. I'm joined by Dom Farrow and our good friend Camden Euler. We have a very exciting episode today where we are joined by Kenneth Giles, the co-founder and owner of SimBull Sports Exchange, a marketplace app that is based on the stock market. You can buy and sell sports teams in the MLB, NBA, NFL. So we're going to be talking about that a lot today. He is a Packers fan, so we're getting a lot of talk about that, a little bit of talk about the Browns, a little bit of talk about Dom's Steelers, maybe even a little Washington football team. Who to buy, who to sell. Stick around. This is a really exciting conversation. Hit that music. This is the North Shore Station.
All right, we now welcome onto the show Kenneth Giles from SimBull app. It is the brand new. It's a mix between sports gambling and the stock market, but I'll let Kenneth describe it better. Kenneth, what are you guys doing at SimBull right now? What is this new revolutionary app?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys for having me on. Super excited to be here, and hopefully a potential partnership comes out of this. But yeah, as easily as I can put it, SimBull is a stock market for sports teams. What we're trying to do is allow people to invest in shares of their favorite teams, just like they would invest in companies in the stock market. So we're super excited about it. We launched last year. I've had a lot of good growth, meeting a lot of good partners, and we're revolutionizing the sports gambling industry by creating this market-based platform that's never been done before.
So describe to the people at home, how does the market, what is the price based on in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we will operate as close to the stock market as possible. So when you come into the market, what you do is, you'll go look at a team. Do I want to buy the Sim Steelers, the Sim Browns, the Sim Ravens? Who am I looking at? The benefit of owning a team is if a team you own wins, you earn a win payout. It's a cash win payout similar to a dividend from a company. That goes right into your bank account. So the whole idea of buying a team is, okay, which team is going to win me a lot of games to earn that cash win payout that goes into my account. Now, the share prices, as you mentioned, are determined by the market, supply and demand of the market. So whenever you go into the market, when you buy a share, you're buying that from another user, just like you would in the stock market. So really, all our market is how good are you at predicting which teams are going to win games based on their price, right? If the Steelers, I can give you a real life example, the Browns right now are priced at $39.50. The Steelers are priced at, where are they? The Steelers are priced at like $27. So what the market is saying is, the Browns are about $13 better than the Steelers. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But that's what the market's telling you, essentially.
Like I always say, I wish I could buy stock in this team. If I could buy stock in this team, I would, because I think they have a bright future. And this is something I've never seen before. So what made you start this app? What was the driving force behind it?
Yeah, so my background is investing. Before I started SimBull, I actually worked for the hedging department of a big insurance company, right? So my background is investing. I've been doing it for a long time. But my passion had always been sports gambling. I love the idea of sports gambling. Sports are always my passion. I was a degenerate in college. I was laying money on random games. My background is also math, so I was trying to build models, right? I think every gambler's been there. Like, I fucking got. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Sure.
Is that? I've got the books beat or whatever. So that's what I would do, right? I spent a lot of time gambling, and then I totaled all my bets, right? I kept track of them. And after a couple of years, I was exactly even. All right, I spent 3 years of my life gambling, building these models, and I was exactly even. I'm like, well, that sucks, right? Like and it was dumb too, because I definitely think I'm better than 50% of gamblers. I think I'm better than 80% of gamblers, but I couldn't beat the sports books because of their gambling fee, right? Their edge, where you get to bet $11 to win $10. I couldn't overcome that and actually make money. So I wanted to create a platform that basically blends 2 passions of mine, sports gambling and investing, to create a platform that actually allows for people to make money while investing in sports.
So what are some of your favorite teams right now that you're looking? Do you personally invest in the app, or are you?
No, that'd be a conflict of interest, because I know all the data and stuff like that. So I don't invest. Personally, I'm a huge Packers fan. I grew up going to the Packers games. My dad has season tickets, so I've gone to a lot of Packer games. If I was looking in the SimBull market, who would I invest in? And this is not based off of any sort of data. This is just based on me, looking at the market and what I would do. I would actually, honestly, the Steelers, actually are not a bad investment right now. If we want to relate it to your audience, the AFC North, and I'll just give you a breakdown of the AFC North. You have the Browns, who are the fourth most expensive teams at about $40. You have the Ravens, the seventh most expensive team, about $37. And you have the Bengals, the 15th most expensive team, about $32. And then you have the Steelers as the 24th most expensive team at $26. So if you look at the idea of investing, right, wanting to invest in good organizations who have a culture of success and a culture of rebuilding teams, I would love to invest in the Steelers because you know that they're going to compete every year, whether they have a down year or not. They're going to come back and they're a well-run organization. Right? Do you really trust the Bengals to surround Joe Burrow with talent? Maybe. But really, if I was investing in SimBull, I would just basically look for well-run organizations.
So for the app in the future, do you want this to sort of follow like kind of the U.S. stock market where they kind of keep going up and the shares of these teams get more expensive over time?
Yeah. So the ultimate, and can you guys still hear me? I froze on my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So the ultimate goal is basically to have a market-based system, right? So the idea of, okay, you have the best team in the NFL and you have the worst team in the NFL, and they have some sort of price. Now, basic market principles tells you that as this grows in popularity, the prices should increase, right? Supply and demand, as there's more demand, right, the prices should increase. So yes, we do want the share prices to rise, but the real benefit of our market is you get those win payouts every time a team you own wins, right? You own a share of the Steelers, they win a game, you get that win payout. But the other side is, okay, share price appreciation should go to the good teams, right? So for example, just to give you a real life market example, the Sim Jaguars were 1-15 last year, but they are a middle price team in the market, and they've risen about 30% in the past 2 months. Why is that? Because people expect them to get better in the future, right? They expect Trevor Lawrence to come in and start winning more games. So what we really want is for people to use their sports knowledge to say, hey, I'm betting on this team to be good in the next 2 to 3 years, and their stock price increases to allow for that profit.
Something that I'm really interested in is like the win payout. So how does that differentiate between the leagues? Because on here you have MLB, NBA, and NFL so far. So obviously the schedules are different for that. So are the payouts different per league?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're different because of the number of games, right? So in the NFL, now you have 17 games, so the market should reflect that. But when we priced it, there were 16 games. So we had win payouts of 50 cents per win per share. The NBA has 5 times more games, so their win payout is 5 times less, which is how you go from 50 cents to 10 cents for NBA. And then think about it, MLB, it actually has double the amount of games that the NBA does, so the win payout is half that. So it's 50 cents for NFL, 10 cents for NBA, and then 5 cents for MLB. And then just to give your listeners a view of like, okay, what does the average team look like? So right now, the average team in the NFL is about $30 or so, right? If you want to buy one share, the average team is about $30. The average team in the NFL is going to win 8 games a year, which is then 50 cents per win is $4 of win payouts. So for a $30 investment, the idea is you're going to get $4 per year on average. Plus you still have your $30 investment. So every year you're getting about a 15% return, which is absolutely insane as far as that goes.
What team would you be interested in investing in, Lucas, right now, NFL?
I mean, personally, how can I not invest in the Browns? Of course, Cleveland got
maybe a little overvalued.
I know. Yeah, that's the thing, though. The only thing that's a little bit daunting about the Browns is that $39.58, that $40. That's a lot. That's a little bit much right now for a team that is only 11-6 and then have one playoff win. So for me, that scares me away a little bit. But they got everything going for them right now, and I got to ride this hype train. I don't know if Kenneth is going to disagree with me on that, but do you think the Browns are a buy right now?
I think everything's a buy. It's my market, but no, I mean seriously, one of the best strategies in the SimBull market is buying into young quarterbacks, right? Like theoretically, Baker's going to be there for the next 10 or 12 years. He's proven that he's a capable quarterback for the most part, especially at the end of last year with Stefanski, right? Think about if he's going to get a consistent 8 to 12 wins per year, that's a lot safer investment than say the Steelers, which is why they're priced lower. But who's gonna succeed Big Ben, right? Like you don't know the answer to that, which is the risk in investing in a team that doesn't have a quarterback, right? If you look at all the top teams in the market, you have the Chiefs, young quarterback. You have Tampa Bay, well, that's just a Tom Brady effect. But the other top teams, think about it, you had the Browns, you had the Bills, you had the Ravens, you had the Chargers, you had the Dolphins, you had the Cowboys, right? So all these teams have young quarterbacks who investors can look at them and be like, okay, yeah, they might be up and down, but they're at least going to give me 8 wins. They'll probably give me 9 wins, maybe even 10 per year for the next 8 or 10 years.
I have a question. Do playoffs, is there a bigger win for a playoff, or is there more payout for playoff wins?
So playoff payout wins are the exact same as the regular season. The reason they're the exact same is because if you own a playoff team, you already get the benefit of them playing more games, right? So that's the bonus of having playoff teams. So like the Bucks last year, they won 11 games during the regular season. So they returned $5.50, but then they returned another $2 for the playoffs. So they increased their win payouts by like 40% just by winning the Super Bowl.
Taking a look at this, the team that I'm interested on the NFL, Sim NFL, I like the Sim Texans a lot. Even though Deshaun Watson, we're unsure where he's going to go. With all that news surrounding him, he might not even leave the Texans. If he can stay here, if he ends up staying next season, I think you could see that price going up for the Texans. Would you agree with that, Ken?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting watching. You know, I'm obviously watching the market every day, so it's really interesting. When the first trade rumors started coming out, when he demanded trades, everyone started guessing. In our market, everyone started guessing, where's he going to go? The Sim Broncos started rising in value out of no other reason than like, oh, they might get Deshaun Watson. You saw the Sim Panthers rise in value once they started creating all that cap space. And then you saw, I mean, off topic a little bit, but you saw the Sim Bears actually rise with the speculation that they might get Russell Wilson. So our market is really speculative. I do tend to agree with you. The Sim Texans, as dysfunctional as they are so much cheaper than all the rest of the teams in the market. Yeah, they're terribly run. Yeah, Deshaun Watson doesn't want to be there. He's almost untradeable right now. I don't see how another team can trade for him until all this stuff gets figured out, which probably means he's going to be a Houston Texan. And for his personal brand, and again, this is just me, kind of talking, but for his personal brand, if he's got all this stuff going on and they allow him to play, but he's like, no, I'm too good for the Texans, I'm going to sit out. How is that going to look, right? Because where is he going to play after that? So I think he is going to play for the Texans as long as there's no suspension or anything like that. If he's going to play for the Texans, they're an absolute steal. I mean, he's a top 4 quarterback in the NFL. If that's the case, he's going to get more than 4 wins on average. So I do agree with you. The Texans are probably a buy.
And you brought up a good point about the fan speculations and how that plays into the market. We were briefly talking about that before we recorded about PFF being interested in partnering with you guys. Can you tell the viewers at home like how PFF wants to use your analytics for their site?
Yeah, and we don't have any agreement right now. I mean, we just met with them a few months ago, but they are really interested in our style of market because we do provide a really unique data set that no one else has. So, for example, what we were talking about beforehand is the Sim Cardinals increased by 8% after they signed J.J. Watt, which implies that, okay, users think that the Cardinals are now 8% more valuable with J.J. Watt than without. Or the other example I use is Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow tore his ACL. If you go look at the timing of when the Sim Bengals stock fell, you can tie it exactly to when Joe Burrow got his knee injury. So we provide a really interesting data set that data analytic companies will want to use in the future to basically get consumer sentiment on, okay, how valuable is this player or what happens if this player gets hurt? We are actually partnered with PFF right now. Like I said, they're super interested in our market. A few of their hosts are actually in the market, which is exciting. But essentially, for your listeners, if you do like PFF and you want their Edge subscription, if you sign up with the promo code PFF, sign up with the promo code PFF on SimBull, you make a $10 deposit. You get a free PFF subscription. We'll buy that for you. We have a good deal going on with them. So all new users, if you sign up with the promo code PFF, you'll get a free annual Edge subscription, which is exciting.
So make sure you guys check that out. Promo code PFF on the SimBull market to get the free PFF subscription. My last question before we just talked about the NFL and give a little background on yourself, not just the app, is the more users that join the site, will that make the market more volatile?
What was that last part of the question?
the more users join will make the market more volatile.
Yeah. So we do have an extreme user growth rate right now. So as more users come into the market, and I think I mentioned this, but supply and demand will tell you as more users come into the market, the prices should go higher. So for us to grow the market, we are going to introduce more shares as more users come in, and this will allow us to grow the market. More users is going to be really good for the market because it makes the market liquid. So right now we're averaging, we have just over 3,000 user accounts. We're averaging about 100 trades a day, maybe more like 70 trades a day. We want that number to be 700 trades a day so that the tiny bit of news, hey, the Steelers released Marcus Pouncey, or the other Pouncey, whichever Pouncey it is, he retired. That should move the Steelers stock, right? Because they either got better or they got worse. Right now, you won't see those minute details just because there's not enough users to drive like the little bit of news. What will drive the market is, hey, this team signed J.J. Watt. This player got hurt. There was this big trade, right? The 49ers just made the trade to the third overall pick. As more users come in the market, we should see the market actually get more efficient, which is actually really exciting.
You guys have any more questions about the app?
I have one more question, not even about an app, but just about one team, so we can kind of shift more into NFL talk right now. But one team that you mentioned, what team would I invest in? Sim Patriots right now look good. At $28, it's not bad. So, you mentioned young quarterbacks are a good thing to invest in. How about coaching staffs? Because, Cam Newton, maybe not the youngest quarterback, don't know how long he's going to stick around, but you got a feeling Bill Belichick's probably going to handle this situation as best as possible. So what do you think about that in the coaching staff and the front offices?
I'm a huge fan of, like I mentioned, buying good franchises, right? Like Robert Kraft has proven that he is an owner that wants to be competitive and wants to win, right? Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. So I am actually a big fan of investing in basically stable stocks, if you want to call them stable teams. Think about the difference between like the Patriots and the Bears, right? The Bears ownership has proven that, they're going to put a team on the field, but do we really care about being the most competitive team in the world? Probably not. So I am a big fan of the Patriots. One thing that does scare investors about the Patriots is Cam Newton's one-year deal. The market doesn't like uncertainty. So the fact that, who's going to be the quarterback after Cam Newton, if he's bad again, what are the Patriots going to do? That provides a lot more uncertainty than, let's say, they sign an average quarterback to a 5-year deal. The market likes that because they know exactly what they're going to get out of that 5 years for that team. So I am a big fan of the Patriots. I do think they're undervalued. Just Bill Belichick is going to build a winning team. He's going to. He's too good of a coach not to. So I do believe in that. To give you an insight and an interesting team to look at for coaching staff, can you guys explain to me why the Sim 49ers are the 5th highest priced team on the market? They went 6-10 last year. Yes, they had a bunch of injuries, right? 2 years ago, they made the NFC Championship, or the Super Bowl, actually. They had a ton of injuries, right? So they are better than their 6-10 record. But they have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, right? They're uncertain. So your point about coaching staff, when I look at the Sim 49ers, I'm looking at, okay, people believe in Kyle Shanahan. He's proven that if CJ Beathard plays quarterback, he can coach him to a 500 team. And I think that's what investors look at when they're looking at the Sim 49ers. Like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is fine. He might be gone next year, probably going to be gone next year. But Kyle Shanahan's going to be around for the next 10 years. And if he can give me at least 8 wins a year, I'm good with that for my money.
So when are the craziest days for the market? Do you think it's free agency, or do you think it'll be when the draft happens?
Free agency was absolutely crazy. I mean, you had teams like the Washington football team rose over 30% in 2 days after they made their move for Curtis Samuel and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Right? People looked at that team and they're like, damn, they're good now. So that was pretty crazy, right? You have teams rise up like that. You have teams fall. I mean, the Lions have been absolutely destroyed by their trading away Matthew Stafford, which I actually personally think was a pretty good move because they're not in a position to win. So might as well rebuild with first round picks. But the market didn't like that because they downgraded at quarterback. So free agency was pretty crazy. I do expect the draft to be crazy because, NFL fans are delusional and everyone thinks that, once you go to the draft, like if you just find that one guy, you're in good shape. So the draft should be really fun. During season, that is obviously really fun. I mean, the Steelers started 11-0, and they rose to the most expensive team in the NFL. And then they finished the season losing like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, and they fell to the 24th team in the NFL. Right. So during the season, it's really fun to watch the trends move as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to keep an eye on this. So is it update at the end of every day, the price?
The prices are live, right? So you can trade 24/7, 365. Whenever a trade is executed, the price moves accordingly.
Does someone need to be offering a share for you to buy it, or yeah?
Yep. So the way the market works is we have all the shares outstanding into the market, so all the users own the shares. And then in order for you to buy a share, someone else has to be willing to sell a share. So you can go look for every single team, what the users are willing to sell those shares for, and then do it based off that.
All right, let's talk a little bit about NFL. You're a Packers fan, correct?
I am, yeah, diehard Packers fan, born and raised.
I'm sorry about that game against the Buccaneers. That was a tough one.
I was actually there. I was sitting in the end zone. I was one of 8,000 fans there, and it was brutal. I mean, you can blame so many things in that game. I mean, from the end of the first half, with having Kevin King guard the fastest guy in the field and press coverage with 4 seconds left. I mean, that was a ridiculous coaching error. But also down the stretch, I mean, you picked off Brady 3 times, and you can't freaking put the ball in the end zone, right? Like, you had the best quarterback, of this generation. Well, Tom Brady, get him out of there. But you have one of the best quarterbacks of this generation, and you can't get 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter when you have 3 interceptions. So it was a heartbreaking loss for sure.
You think that loss was on Matt LaFleur?
I don't think it's on him. I think you can put blame everywhere. I mean, kicking the field goal was ridiculous, and everyone's going to look at that and just be like, what were you doing? I think down the stretch, too, I think Rodgers wasn't good. I mean, after 2 Tom Brady interceptions, he had back-to-back 3-and-outs and punts, which I don't know, how you do that. I mean, in the end zone, I don't know if you guys remember their last touchdown. I forget if it was Lazard or MVS, dropped an easy 2-point conversion, which would have cut the game to 3, I believe. Mm-hmm. So then if you kick a field goal to tie, so yeah, that, I mean, you also had Kevin King getting absolutely torched down the sideline. So I wouldn't put it on LaFleur, but it doesn't help when you kick a field goal and that's the last decision that everyone remembers.
You kind of touched on one thing I was going to ask you. Being a Packers fan, the first thing you think of is Aaron Rodgers now. So we've had the conversation on this podcast a lot, and you mentioned Brady as well. So is there a difference between football player and quarterback? And is Aaron Rodgers in that GOAT conversation? I'm sure you, being a Packers fan, have a lot to weigh in on that, and you probably think about it and debate it a lot. So what do you think? Where's Aaron Rodgers in that GOAT conversation?
I mean, one of my co-founders is actually a diehard Bears fan. He's from Chicago, and we live together in college, so we give each other shit all the time and basically just argue every single day. I personally think Rodgers is the most talented, right? I do think there's a difference between talent and winning, right? Like, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably the most gifted quarterback to ever play the game, maybe Patrick Mahomes now. I don't think you can doubt that, like, Rodgers' physical skill set is like one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. But I do think you have to take into account. I do think you have to take into account winning in Super Bowls and awards like that are not personal. So with that being said, obviously there's no debate. Like, Tom Brady is the GOAT. You don't win 7 Super Bowls by luck, even though there's a lot of 1 possession games and stuff like that. But like, Tom Brady's clearly the best. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most physically gifted. But honestly, and this is going to sound very unfair from a fan's perspective, but like, there is a difference when your quarterback counts $35 million against the cap, like Rodgers does, and Tom Brady counts 9, right? Like that is a conscious decision of Tom Brady saying, I'm going to give my money to other players on my team because I want to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not blaming Rodgers for not getting his money. If someone offered me $40 million versus $10 million, I'm going to take the $40 million, no doubt. And I don't care if I win 7 Super Bowls or 2 Super Bowls. But I do think there is a difference where if you want to go in the GOAT category, like, you are the greatest of all time, part of that is elevating the rest of your team. And Tom Brady's done that through financials as well as on the field, which plays a big part in his Super Bowls.
Let's talk about Super Bowl 45. The last time my Steelers won the Super Bowl, to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's hard to imagine that was the last time the only time that Aaron Rodgers was in the Super Bowl. You think that the Packers should have more wins than what they have. Do you think that's an ownership thing that they haven't reached Super Bowl since that period, or just not getting the right Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Packers, they're 1-4 in NFC championships under Rodgers, right? So they had a chance to make 5 Super Bowls. They ended up making 1. I think part of that is is bad luck. When you play one game, right? The Seattle Seahawks, they should have beat them in 2015, right? They were up big with 2 minutes left. They blew that game. They could have beat the Bucs this year, right? So I think a lot of that's just, you play one game, and if you lose, you lose. So that I think part of that's bad luck. I think part of it is also on the front office's idea of how to build a team. The front office the Packers front office does not overspend on free agents. They will not go out and get big name guys. They build through the draft. They re-sign their own. They're not going to go out and say, okay, we're going to spend all of our money in this 3-year period to try to win in these 3 years. The Packers front office is going to be like, okay, we're going to be consistently good every year and hope we make the Super Bowl. Now, right or wrong, that is what their philosophy is. So I don't know if you're going to blame them for that, right? They made 5 NFC championships in 10 years. That's a pretty dominant stretch. They just haven't made the Super Bowl. So I think part of it's bad luck. I think part of it's also the philosophy that, hey, we're not going to overspend to bring in that one free agent, which plays into that. I was also at Super Bowl 45. I think I was like 13 years old. Like I said, my dad's a diehard Packers fan, so I get a lot of Packers shit. But I was there for the Super Bowl, which was pretty fun.
That's pretty awesome.
You mentioned, the way they build in the draft. It seemed like last year they kind of went against what they usually do and went for, Love. They went for a quarterback who didn't even play this year, obviously, when you do have, like you said, one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. So what do you think that went into that decision? Do you think he's your next guy? Do you think that how do you think Rodgers takes that as well? Because we talked about that a lot early in this podcast. He came in with a chip on his shoulder this season because of that draft move. So do you think that was a mistake by the front office? Do you think they should have built around him and gone for the Super Bowl this year and the next 2 years? Or, like you said, they're a team that, builds for the future. So what do you think about that move?
I think it's right on par for what they do, what their philosophy is, right? They drafted Aaron Rodgers in the first round at 22 overall when Brett Favre still had 4 years left on his contract, right? So they've done this before. Now, I want to talk about, I guess I want to break this down into two different things. From the fan's perspective, who doesn't have any, idea how to run a front office, it's like, yeah, draft a wide receiver. If we draft a wide receiver, maybe he catches that ball in the end zone and we win the game, right? We make it to the Super Bowl, et cetera. So part of you is like, yeah, that sucks that you wasted a first-round pick. Now, what I try to do is put myself in the position of the GM. Two GMs ago, Ron Wolf, he traded for Brett Favre. He traded a first-round pick for Brett Favre, Hall of Fame quarterback. The last GM, Ted Thompson, drafted Aaron Rodgers, who replaced Brett Favre. If you're the new GM, Brian Gutenhurst, your whole career, your whole legacy, your whole livelihood, your whole career is based on replacing Aaron Rodgers, right? That is basically his one job as a GM is how do you make this team competitive after Aaron Rodgers? So if I'm the GM and I'm like, okay, I could wait till Rodgers sucks and draft a quarterback and hope that one guy is good enough. Or I could draft a guy that I think is good, wait 2 years, see if he actually is good. If he sucks, I draft a new quarterback and I have 2 chances to replace Aaron Rodgers instead of 1. So from a job perspective, I think it's great job management. It's like, okay, just give yourself more chances to get the quarterback of the future. From a fan's perspective, you're like, we could have used Justin Jefferson as our second receiver to help us win a Super Bowl right now. So I think there's some give take there. I don't think it's terrible. Going back to SimBull just for a second, if you're an investor in the Sim Packers, you absolutely love that draft pick of Jordan Love. Because you don't care if they win 16 or 17 games in 1 year as an investor. You care about if they win 10 games for the next 10 years, which drafting a quarterback to replace your current quarterback is that kind of thinking.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you that because it is interesting to see different ways that different organizations run their teams and mostly around their quarterbacks. Like you talked about the Bears, it seems like their front office, they just get a bum free agent every couple of years and see how he pans out. And maybe they'll get lucky and they'll have a breakout year. They drafted Mitch Trubisky, but I can't really remember the last quarterback before him that they drafted. The Steelers, they've only drafted 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but the only quarterbacks that you think of that they drafted are Ben Roethlisberger and Terry Bradshaw. If they drafted him, I'm not positive on that, of course, not a huge Steelers fan. But, you look at different organizations. So, yeah, I think that's really interesting that is the Packers' way of doing it is you have a Hall of Fame guy. And, I mean, of course, they've been lucky that their last 2 quarterbacks have been Hall of Famers. And then we're going to get a guy and we're going to comb him and prep him for 4 years. So I think that is really interesting. And like you said, yeah, SimBull, that's exactly what you're looking for a team to be good, not just this year, but in the next couple of years. Because that's another thing we've talked about is how the NFL is kind of moving towards NBA, where it's like we're going to win now, and then we'll deal with next year. So I think that's really interesting, and yeah, how it affects the stock market or your market.
And I think it's really interesting. I think Packers fans, and not just Packers fans, I think teams with good quarterbacks get really spoiled with having good quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think my fan base, I don't think I understand what it's like to have a bad quarterback. So, for example, the Bears have been in quarterback hell for the past as long as I've been alive, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even Jay Cutler was good, but like, he wasn't there. So I think Packers fans get spoiled and complain about this aspect that, okay, we have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He should be able to win, but you have to trust the organization to prepare for being good for a long time. There's a reason the Packers have made 5 NFC championships in 10 years. It's because they realize that the quarterback's the most important position on the field, and you'd rather have 2 than 0.
So going back to SimBull, do users tend to make it more of a long-term hold, or are there more day traders on there right now?
We have, I would separate our users into 3 separate categories. We have fans. So fans come in and they buy 5 shares of their team. They just sit there and they hold them because they want to be financially invested with their team, which is a great way of doing it, right? Like if you're not a gambler and you're just kind of a casual fan of a team and you're like, hey, I want to, participate financially with them, great market to do it. That's one of our fan bases is basically you come in, you just buy your team. The second is what I would call long-term investors. So long-term investors are basically looking for share price appreciation. And what I mean by that is basically they're going to take a bet on a team that's probably in the lower half of the NFL and saying, okay, I hope that this team figures it out and they increase their share price a lot, either by finding a quarterback, finding a new head coach, GM, et cetera. So a great example of that would be the Sim Chargers. This past year, when Justin Herbert jumped into the market, if you go look at their graph, they had this huge uptick as soon as he played well, right? Those investors weren't expecting him to win 12 games this year or next year. What they're looking at is, hey, this guy looks like he's going to be good for the next 8 or 10 years. I hope to buy him now while they're cheap. If he pans out, this team is going to be really valuable in the future when they do start winning 12 or 13 games a year. And then you have your, what I would call your day traders, as you talked about. Those are the people that are buying and selling every day to try to find win payouts. So during the NFL season, basically what they were looking at is, okay, who's playing the Jets this week? Okay, let me buy 10 shares of that team, cash my win payout, sell them, and go find the next team that's playing the Jets, right? So we do have 3 different types of investors. We also have people that do a mixture of both, right? They have a hunch of, hey, I think the Dolphins are going to be really good for the next 5 years, but they're not going to win a lot of games this year, so I want to invest in the Bucks and the Bills and the Chiefs to win these payouts immediately.
Let's see. I think for a long-term option, for a quick, or maybe not super long-term, but as soon as the Bills give Josh Allen that fat contract extension, similar to Patrick Mahomes, I wouldn't be surprised if their price went up.
Yeah, I mean, they're the 6th highest priced team in the NFL. I like the Bills a lot more than, if I was an investor, I would like the Sim Bills a lot more than the Sim Bucks and the Sim Packers. Because you have the long-term aspect of Josh Allen, right? You have the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers, and maybe after a year or 2 he's gone. You have the uncertainty of Tom Brady. He claims he wants to play to 45, or 50, God knows. But maybe he only has 1 or 2 years left. If I invest in the Bills, I know Josh Allen's going to be around for the long term, right? They're going to give him a long contract extension. So I think the Bills are really interesting. The problem that I think people will run into is once your quarterback gets off the rookie deal. So right now, the Browns and the Bills still have the luxury of having their quarterbacks on the rookie deal. What's going to happen to that franchise when they have to shell out the $100 million, $150, $200 million, $500 million to keep their quarterback? What's going to happen to the rest of that team?
Yeah, just like the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, who's still in his rookie deal, and they just aren't getting him. Well, they got Sammy Watkins, which was a decent acquisition, but still, I feel like if they're going to make the huge splashes right now, this was the year to do it.
Well, they tried, right? I mean, they tried to sign Juju. I honestly think from a receiver's perspective, the receivers look at that, and whether they like Lamar Jackson or not, Ravens receivers just don't produce catches or yards, especially because all these receivers are signing 1-year deals. So if you sign a 1-year deal and then you go put up 50 catches for 700 yards, that hurts your next deal, as opposed to if you go to the Chiefs and you put up 85 catches, or if you go back to Big Ben and Juju catches 100 balls in the 5-yard span, right? That helps his next contract.
Yeah, that's the thing. People were saying Juju is so loyal for staying in Pittsburgh, but the Chiefs were offering him $9 million, I believe, and the Ravens were offering him $8 million with a few incentives. But going to the Ravens, he's probably not going to hit those incentives. And
Going to the Chiefs, he's going to ride the bench.
Yeah, he's going to be the third, fourth option there. So,
What are your guys' fan bases? You got one Browns. Are you
I'm
guys
a Browns
Steelers?
fan, Steelers, Washington football team.
Do you think Juju is a Steeler? There's been so much talk about whether he's a Pittsburgh guy or not. Are you a Juju fan?
I personally am a Juju fan. The public perception of him seems to have really gone down just this season, just from like the TikTok dances. I think he loves Pittsburgh. He's always out and about. I saw him out near Heinz Field a few months ago, so he's really nice to the fans. But I think it's the media in Pittsburgh that is really just hurting his image here because they trash him all the time. He's had a few bad fumbles. The last 2 seasons when Antonio Brown left, he's not producing as much, but he's a gritty guy. I think he represents Pittsburgh in a pretty good way on the field. Maybe the TikToks not so much though.
I find it funny when the media trashes a guy for making a bunch of money outside of his sport. Right? Like, I mean, he has a huge social media following. And it's gotten worse because other teams have said, like, oh, we played harder because this guy danced on our logo. Do you really think that's true? I'm be realistic. These NFL players are making millions of dollars. Do you really think they look at someone dancing on the field and like, let's go hit that guy because it's not motivation for me enough to make a bunch of money? Yeah. There's part of that, like for the guys that really get hyped up to play, I'm sure there's some of that, but I bet that's overblown. There's no way that like someone watching Juju dance is like, okay, we're going to play better against the Steelers now. I don't think that's how the NFL works.
Yeah, I fully agree.
I think there's levels to it. Like I think Von Bell, like after he cracked Juju on
that one was the one exception.
That one, I think like he kind of said something about it, but I was like, honestly, like, were you reading him the whole time? Like it was a bad read by like Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. I don't know if that was the read. I think he just ended up being like, oh, that's Juju, and I'm gonna hit him as hard as I can. But like, would you have, if it was like Eric Ebron, would he have been like, I'm just gonna make the tackle? Like I think it goes to a certain point, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like there's motivation.
And I think public perception is a big part of it, like you guys said, right? That once he started dancing, then everything he did went under a spotlight, right? So he said the Browns is the Browns. Well, if you read that whole quote, it actually wasn't like the worst quote in the world. It's not like he was saying they sucked, we're going to kick their ass. They pulled out a quote out of context to make it look like he was worse than it actually was. So I think it's a slippery slope for players once they get in the spotlight of, okay, it's easy to pick on this guy, then every single thing you do from there on out is going to be easy to pick on.
That's why I didn't cut him any slack, because he put himself in the spotlight. Like, he put himself there.
And he makes a lot of money off it, too.
Yeah, but then he can't complain about being in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And the devil's advocate of that thing is like, okay, he knows what he's doing, right? He could stop, but like he knows it's making him money, so that's also his choice, right? Like I think it's fine to criticize him and be like, oh, you know, he's making money outside, like whatever, we want him to focus on football. But at the same time, I think it's fair to defend him and be like, you know, it's blown out of context. He's making money, good for him.
I mean, like all these players nowadays are streaming on Twitch. I don't really see a big difference between Juju dancing on TikTok.
It just seems like a very boomer statement, if I can say that. To be, and I've heard it before from Pittsburgh people, like, oh, that's not the Steeler way to focus on social media and things. It's like, yeah, but it's also 2021. Like, let's grow up. Like, he's not going to be in the gym and in the facility 24/7. But people want to see what he's going to do outside. I'm not backing up. I hate you. I don't like it. I'm a Browns fan. You know, like if you're going to say the Browns is the Browns, we're going to come and, you know, put 50 points on your head. No, you know, whatever. Sorry. I mean, whatever. It does sound like, you know, an old-timey statement to, you know, oh, like, you should be fully in the Steelers. And it's like, yeah, you can do that, but also have a good time and, you know, be on TikTok. So I get that statement. I get that viewpoint of it as well.
And also, it is such a boomer thing, though, because, like, there's so many other things to be mad at, right? Like, in the NFL, not all NFL players are upstanding citizens, right? You have all the stuff with Deshaun Watson, whether he's guilty or innocent, like, that's a real thing. You have domestic violence, you have DUIs, all this stuff. Yeah. Are you really going to get mad at about a guy dancing on a logo for a video? Like, there's other things to be like, that guy's a bad person. Everything I've read, Juju seems like an absolute amazing human being, just a really genuine guy. So the fact that you get mad at him for doing something he enjoys doing I think is kind of funny.
Have you ever been to Pittsburgh, Kenneth?
I have not actually. I have not. I want to go. So actually, a friend of mine that I went to high school with, he pitches for the Pirates. Mitch Keller. He's going to be their number 2 this year. So
Wow.
he graduated a year above me actually. So we were 2 years above me. 2 years above me. So I want to go out to Pittsburgh and actually see him play. I also hear that's a pretty beautiful stadium. So I do want to get out there.
Best ballpark in the world.
What is it, 3?
Better than Camden Yards.
No,
Camden Yards is like number 4.
Camden just likes the Orioles because he's named after the stadium. So.
I kind of had to.
Yeah, it didn't have much of a
No, it's called Three River Stadium, right? Is that the name?
No,
of it?
that was the old one. Now it's PNC Park.
Oh, PNC Park. Yeah, that's right. No, yeah, I do want to get out of Pittsburgh. It looks like a pretty fun town. I've always wanted to go to a Steelers game too because it looks like that's a hoot.
Yeah, gotta come out here, hit the North Shore with Heinz Field, PNC Park, and get a Manny sandwich.
Oh, no.
That sounds unreal. You guys will have to host me out there. We can go do.
I was going to say there's a
go
pull-up
to a Steelers
right
game
for you in my room if you need a place to stay. There's a pull-up.
Actually, my brothers went to a Browns game in Cleveland. When was the last time the Packers played the Browns? Probably 2 years
I was
ago.
going to say,
Or no, but it must have been 4 years ago.
It was the year we were 0-16 and Aaron Rodgers was hurt and Brett Hundley beat us. Yeah, I remember.
But they almost lost. Right? They legit almost lost. But my brother was there and he got into a huge fight with a bunch of Browns fans. I guess I don't know if I think they all got kicked out of the stadium. It was something like that.
That's great. That's great.
So a stadium I really want to go to is Lambeau Field. That atmosphere seems really cool. Isn't it like just in like the middle of a residential neighborhood pretty much?
Yeah, it's awesome. If you have a chance to go there, it's unbelievable. It is in the middle of a neighborhood. Super fun. They have started building it up, right? So it used to be like 100% neighborhood, but then the Packers started acquiring all the properties around it. So now they've built out. They've got, the tailgating's unbelievable. They got bars, restaurants, etc. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. You just go there in the morning, you start drinking with Bloody Marys at 7 a.m. For a noon kickoff. So it is a really fun atmosphere. I would recommend it. I've gone to a couple Packers games every year since I've been alive, unfortunately. But I didn't break my streak, though, because I got to the NFC Championship. But that would have been the first year I haven't been to a Packers game since I can remember. But if you have a chance to go to Lambeau, it's unbelievable.
Definitely going to have to go there one day. Do you have your name on the list for season ticket holders? Isn't it like a 50-year wait at this point?
Yeah. So my dad has season tickets, and then me and my brother are both on the list. I think I've got I'm on 50,000. So my projected time, I don't even know what it is anymore. It might be when I'm 100 or something crazy, because the list is years long, and then they only gain they say they only gain between 50 and 100 tickets per year. So if you think about that, right, if you're 50,000, you're looking at 50 years at least till you get there.
That's crazy. You guys have any more questions before we wrap it up?
I think we're good. Like I said, Kenneth, anytime you're trying to come in to watch the Pirates, pull out couch ready for you. Just hit us up.
Yep.
We can go to Permanis and
Eat Mitch
We're
Keller.
We'll hopefully. Are you guys Pirates fans? Are you guys baseball fans?
Yeah, I'm a Pirates fan.
a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know if you've been tracking spring training, but he has not been throwing well. So if he's your number 2, it might be a long year for the Pirates, the Sim Pirates. Go invest in them if you want to, but it might be a long year for them.
Yeah, the Sim Pirates are really down bad right now. It might be a good long-term investment.
Isn't Newman batting like 750 or something like that?
Yes.
Something wild.
Drop below 700. Time to cut him.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna be doing a stadium. SimBull will be doing a stadium tour, so we're gonna be going to NFL games, MLB games, passing out cards, doing the guerrilla marketing. So we'll definitely come to Pittsburgh and we'll hit you guys up when we're there.
Awesome, sounds good. Thank you for joining us, Kenneth. Everyone, go check out SimBull.app. You can just search it on Safari and get investing today. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners today, Kenneth?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate the time you guys gave me. It's always fun, kind of just shooting the shit about the NFL. I love talking about it. If you're interested in signing up for SimBull, we'd love to have you. www.simbull.app. You can follow us on Twitter at SimBull Exchange. You can see different posts there as well. We do a lot of recaps, a lot of analysis on what's going on in the market. So if you're unsure about how to invest in it, just follow our Twitter. We'll be giving you some tips on how to do that. And if you like that PFF Edge subscription, sign up with the promo code PFF. We'll also have to get you guys your own promo code so you guys can promote to your listeners. That way you guys get some credit for that. We'll give you guys a promo code, and we'll give your listeners some discounts too. We'll give you some deposit bonuses. But again, I appreciate you guys having me on. Look forward to seeing everyone in the market. And maybe I'll come on every few months and give an update.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to Kenneth Giles for coming on the show. And everyone, make sure you go to SimBull.app. Any web browser, you'll be able to find it. I'm super excited for this app. I'm very, very excited with how things can go. I might have to start investing very soon because, I mean, those sports gambling, they'll rob you.
Oh, yeah.
The payout,
Yeah.
he had a great point with that, how you bet $10, you only get $9. So he's kind of taken out the scam part of it. And it is an investment, so it's not like a gamble. It's a little bit of both, but I really like where that's going. And we'll be talking about this app more in the future. Let's talk a little bit about free agency. The one thing that we missed in our last episode that happened just after was Juju Smith-Schuster re-signing with the Steelers. You heard me on the podcast saying there's no way he comes back after that little social media post where he says, whatever happens, Pittsburgh, thank you. But I think the market just wasn't good for Juju this year. Everyone was just offering one-year deals. But like we said in our interview with Kenneth, like those incentives from the Chiefs and the Ravens, they probably weren't going to be possible, and he probably knew that. So the smart thing is for Ben to throw him a bunch of passes this year and then probably, well, maybe not leave Pittsburgh because they'll have a lot more cap space once Ben is gone. But I'm happy that Juju is back. Lucas, I don't think you're worried about Juju being back on the Steelers, playing him 2 times a year with your Browns.
No, that's all right. Let him go, especially as they signed John Johnson, Troy Hill. You know, I love what the Browns are doing right now in free agency, but sticking on Pittsburgh right now. I mean, other than Juju Smith-Schuster, they haven't done much. The one other big thing that happened after our last recording was Tyson Alualu is coming back now.
Yeah,
he was originally going to the Titans, I believe, right?
Jaguars.
Yep. And now he has
a change of heart.
Yeah, that's right.
He said, I'm staying in Pittsburgh.
Which, you know, as a Pittsburgh fan, I would love.
Yeah, I'm happy
personally.
about that. It's another position that you don't need to really focus on the draft. It makes sense that he's staying in Pittsburgh, though. I think he has like a bunch of kids, and he's a veteran, so why not just stay in Pittsburgh for another year or two?
It's also a position where you can't have enough of. You can never have too many defensive ends and defensive tackles. You know, so I think that's a big move for the Steelers, even though they haven't made too many moves like Kenneth said. I don't know if we were recording when he said that, but yeah, Steelers really haven't done much besides re-sign Juju. But yeah, having Tyson Alualu back is a huge move for Pittsburgh.
And I'm just tunnel vision on the draft right now. I'm super excited for the draft in Cleveland. Might need to take a little roadie out there, April 29th for round 1. A lot of moves being made with these teams, of course. The Dolphins, crazy steal from Laramie Tunsil. Was it Laramie Tunsil?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That they got 4 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks just off that guy. And the only reason they got him was because on draft night, a video leaked of him with a gas mask smoking dope. So, I mean, the Dolphins really
lucked out on that one.
Lucked out or secured the bag. I don't know.
But the team on the other end of this trade, San Francisco now moving up to 3, and you got to think that number 3 spot's going to be Justin Fields, right?
I guess it has to be.
I
mean, right now
Zach
it seems
Wilson?
like it's either going to be him or Zach Wilson, depending on what the Jets do.
I think they were looking at Mac Jones as well.
Really?
Yeah, but then you saw Mac Jones pro day.
Well,
and then
pro days
Zach Wilson,
are
Justin Fields.
worthless.
Kind of, but when he's
pro days are
throwing it
worthless.
5 feet over his head when
But there's no
one
combine
blitzing
this
you.
year, so now pro days
That is true,
are
but still,
10 times
he's
The
more.
combine's also worthless.
He's throwing the combine. At least you can look at like body language
I don't
and how
care
they
about the
how they
three-cone drill.
how they
That
compete
doesn't
and
mean
stuff like
anything.
that. When they know stuff is on the line like that. At a pro day, they're in shorts and a t-shirt and throwing throws that have no defense that they've been practicing for months.
And
Yeah,
then he
by the-
airmails it in front of Devontae
Yeah, that was
Smith.
the thing, though. There's a difference. I mean, Johnny Manziel had 0 balls on the ground at his pro day, and we saw how that worked out. But at the same time, your pro day does go a
I
long
think
way.
so, maybe.
I hope it stays. Sorry, folks. We've had technical difficulties in the studio. We're still recording on
It might have just
GarageBand, but our camera has cut out.
shoot.
All right, I think the audio should be all right though. Right?
Yeah, battery is critically low.
Do you have
a charger?
And I don't think so.
Oh, well, my
Do you think
battery's
it'll
gonna
stay?
be low,
The Zoom
so-
thing will stay up?
It's a good question. I'm getting it raw. So I can get it like it didn't fully die.
Okay.
So like
You
I
can
could
go in
pull it
on the
up.
critical moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I could save it now, and then we could just like do
This
the
is
rest.
podcasting, folks.
This is it.
This
ladies
is
and
it.
Like, we
this
could-
is the dream.
Like we
And-
could do just the Kenneth thing on video.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then-
yeah, that'll be good.
And
for
then the
sure.
rest.
We can just post
the
that
whole
interview
thing.
just by
The
itself.
whole thing on
I'm still recording,
Yeah, I know.
by the way.
We'll
All
cut
right.
some of that out, leave some of it in there.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
have a
it's-
question.
She's still here. All right.
What's the deal with why is the number one throw that everyone's looking at the pro day now is the rolling left for right-handed quarterbacks throwing off
Off
the
your
back,
back
foot
foot?
60 yards downfield?
Yeah.
How many times has that throw been made in an NFL
not
game?
many.
And how many times has it been thrown and it's an interception because it's an underthrow because it's an impossible
Yeah.
throw, and then people get benched because of throws
It's
like
impressive,
that?
though.
No,
They
it is
were
very impressive, but
but
at the same time, what's the point of that?
Justin Fields, though, ran a 4.40, I'm pretty sure.
4.40, yeah. There's a lot of fours
A
in
lot
there.
of
but
fours
yeah.
in there,
Unofficial,
which
of
is
course.
really impressive.
Which I was
Unofficial,
hoping
yeah.
that there would be a combine, see maybe he could get into that 4.3 because he did talk about
Yeah?
he thought he could get in the 4.3. There was a video of him, he ran a 4.41 earlier a couple months ago. So I was excited to see that. Hopefully, he would get another shot, but
Well, that's why.
4.44 seems to be his number right now.
That's
pretty damn fast for a quarterback.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm, it's more upsetting that there's no combine because especially with, how close all these guys are at both quarterback and then receiver as well. Those 40 times, those bench reps, that can differentiate these guys that are so close and, if you're on the fields with Trey Lance or Justin Fields, if Fields runs a faster 40 and does more reps than Lance, that could push.
Yeah.
That could push.
Let's
him
go through
ahead
the
of-
first 6 picks here. Jaguars have to take Trevor Lawrence,
They-
right? There's
they
no
would be
question
dumb not
about
to,
that.
yeah.
Number 2, the Jets, though. That's where it gets a little tricky. Is it going to be Zach Wilson?
I think it will be, but I don't think it should be. I'm not as high on him as I am on Justin.
Yeah.
Like I think Justin Fields has the highest ceiling of everybody in the draft.
Not Trevor
You
Lawrence.
think
well,
he's higher than
other
Trevor
than
Lawrence,
other
or
than
not?
Trevor
Okay.
Lawrence.
Yeah, I wasn't as high on Justin Fields, but that pro day was impressive. Some of those throws he's making, how fast he is. I think he's a gritty guy. I think he's got that chip, a natural chip on his shoulder where he just wants to prove everyone that he's better than all these quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think that comes with, you're talking about Justin Fields, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I zoned out for a minute. I think that comes with the fact that him and Trevor Lawrence are from, the same town. Like, they live 5 minutes away from each other, or 10 minutes away, something like that. So, when one guy who lives 10 minutes away from you is the number one overall college guy, of all time, one of the top recruited people, and then you're number 2 or 3, that's still pretty good, but at the same time, if you can come in with that chip on your shoulder where it's like, why wasn't I one? I think that really shows the kind of guy that Justin Fields is, and I feel like because of that mentality, he could have the highest ceiling of any of the quarterbacks.
And then I think
even higher than Trevor Lawrence.
I
maybe.
think you're looking at then we'll look at pick 3. I think whichever guy goes 2, the other guy's going 3
Yeah,
because
so
of the
2 and 3 are
49ers.
either Zach
Because-
Wilson,
yeah.
Justin
I
Fields.
can't see Mac Wilson going top 10.
I don't even know.
Or
who
Mac
that
Jones,
is.
excuse me. My apologies.
Zach
I can't
Wilson,
see.
Mac.
Yeah, Zach Wilson,
Same.
Mac Jones. My bad.
Sounds similar.
I can't see Mac Jones, Mac Gilson. I almost got. Mac Jones. I can't see him going top 10. I think he's big and I think he's good and I think he's got some very good qualities. But I don't think he's a guy like Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, maybe Zach Wilson. I think the jury's still
I think
out on
he's gonna
that.
fall
But I don't
in-
think he's a guy who can step in year one and start.
I think that's what the Jets are looking at is they're looking at, if they decide to move on from Darnold, which of these quarterbacks can be QB ready right now? And then I think the 49ers are going to get what they want, and they're going to get the guy who might need to sit a year or two, and that would be a team that would be great for SimBull because, I see a lot of 49ers people being like, oh, we're looking at, moving, we're trying to win now and stuff. Whoever you draft, is not going to play over Garoppolo week 1. That's, even if you're not high, even if the 49ers aren't high on Garoppolo or not, even if you have them,
But if
they're
they
not just going to throw.
I was going to say, if they draft a quarterback, do you think they even have Garoppolo on week one?
Yeah, that's the
because they
question.
could.
They
just-
might not. but I don't believe if they do get rid of him and start that drafted quarterback, you're not looking at them for SimBull exchange because they're going to be weaker until that quarterback gets better. But I think what they need to do is keep Garoppolo, develop either Wilson or Lance or Fields, whoever you take at 3, and then build them to be ready in 2 or 3 years when you're fully ready to move on from Garoppolo.
So number 4, the Falcons, it could be Trey Lance, but also could be Kyle Pitts, who also had an insane pro day. Also a 4.4 40 for a 6'5", 240.
Yeah,
tight
he
end.
also has the widest wingspan of anyone in the past 20 years.
Wow.
Of wide receivers and tight ends. Excuse me.
He could be the best tight end in the league in 2 years.
The thing that interests me though is he's only 245 at 6'5"
he
and
could be a
3/4.
wideout.
He's only 245, and they're saying he's a tight end. I haven't watched a ton of film on him, and I haven't watched his blocking, but I'm 225, I'm 230 on a good day, and I'm 6'2". So that kind of worries me a little bit. Being a tight end, you're gonna have to bang around in there in a pro style offense.
Yeah.
So that could worry me a little bit. And it seems like the way the NFL is moving, where a tight end like Travis Kelce is running more routes than he's blocking. I mean, that's one thing to take into account.
Say.
But still, at 245, 6'5", 3 3/8. I feel like 245 is a little late. So, and of course, when you get in an NFL program,
guys, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt.
I mean, when you get in an NFL program, I'm sure they've got whatever they need to put on 15 pounds like it's nothing. But
I think if they take Kyle Pitts, that'll also be one that he's going to come on the field day one, but he's going to be put in more development scenarios. He's not going to be the tight end number 1 right away because they have Hayden Hurst who is a decent tight end, and then he's like you said,
they probably should draft a quarterback.
I was going to say, I think that getting back to the Falcons, I think that Trey Lance might honestly be.
I think that's high risk. I think that's high risk.
See, I know you said you kind of aren't a fan of Trey Lance because
I think it's high risk.
But I like him. I definitely agree. It is high. There's a high ceiling, but it is high risk.
I don't think
that's a good way to put it.
Because if he doesn't turn out to be anything, then you just have 2 Matt Ryans on the team, and the team is right where it started. I think they're going to look at it as if we pass on Kyle Pitts here and take Trey Lance and it doesn't pan out, and then you're watching Pitts go crazy in Cincinnati if they take him at 5 or if he falls to the Eagles or something like that.
I think the Bengals have to take Penei Sewell from Oregon.
I think there's too much.
Either him or
there's too many bad offensive linemen, and they have their franchise guy now. You got to get guys in front of them. They have weapons, even though they lost AJ Green. They still have T Higgins. They still have Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
They still have Uzama, the tight end, I believe. They've got weapons, and Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. And they have Joe Mixon, they have Bernard who's getting up there. Yeah. But still, they have weapons on offense, or if they have a good offensive line, that they can produce on offense.
Yeah.
And I think they showed that last year. And, I mean, they had A.J. Green last year, and they're not going to have him this year, but still.
I could see Trey Lance. I could see Falcons taking Pitts, Bengals taking Sewell, Dolphins maybe taking Jamar Chase, and then the Lions maybe taking Trey Lance, which I think would be
not
the
got
best
Goff.
option. Oh yeah, Goff. I completely forgot.
I think
Jamar Chase is going to go over Devontae Smith, or what did you say?
I think Devontae Smith, unfortunately, is going to be the 3rd receiver to go. I think he's going behind both of them. His stock has been. It was. I mean, the recency bias is going away. So Smith's stock is dropping, even though.
But I mean, he is a Heisman wide receiver, which is insane. I think he could be the best.
We barely saw Waddle last season with his injury. We didn't see Chase at all. So it's a lot of recency bias with what we've seen with Devontae Smith, and now that is setting into people's heads. Devontae Smith, his stock, unfortunately, even though he's not doing anything to drop it, the recency bias.
Going back to Mac Jones quick, I think he'll drop to number 15 to the Patriots. I said this last week. I said going from Saban to Belichick, what more can you ask for? I think Belichick would like getting someone from Saban's program, but There was the video of him when Mac Jones overthrew the wide receiver and it goes to Bill Belichick and he's just shaking his head. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
I actually like Trey Lance going to the Patriots if he falls that much. So
Yeah.
I think that is why the Falcons pick is so interesting because
they could
I would
really
like
mess
to
it
see
up.
Trey Lance on the Patriots. I think that would be a great spot for him to flourish and like a great spot for him to
And
have
Cam
that high
is the
ceiling.
perfect quarterback to learn from
Exactly.
for his play style.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, you can't learn from anyone better than Bill Belichick at all times. So, I think that's a great place for him to go if he falls that far. So, for his sake, I hope he does.
What are we thinking about the Eagles' decision to get in that trade mix and go down all the way down to 12 from 6?
I don't really understand,
understand it.
because unless they think Devontae Smith's going to be there, because like you said,
I think they do.
he's in your opinion, he's the third guy, which he very well could be, because I think Waddle is very good, but he was hurt. And I think Jamar Chase, is probably right on the same level as Justin Jefferson, honestly. And we saw how good Justin Jefferson was. They're just such similar receivers.
Yeah.
So I think unless they think they must think Devontae Smith is still going to be there.
I would-
can say.
I think he will be, because I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see either Sewell or Slater to the Bengals. Then you'll see one of those receivers go to the Dolphins, which will probably be Chase.
Yeah.
Then the other lineman that doesn't go to the Bengals, possibly. No, I think you're going to see another receiver go to Detroit with the loss of Kenny Golladay to.
That's true. That was another big signing
think
that we
that'll
didn't
be-
talk about.
That'll be Waddle and Chase. Then you're looking at the other lineman to Carolina. Then Denver doesn't need I think they'll probably stick with Locke. The Cowboys.
Some of these teams are just so close. But
uh,
some of them are not
they have
close
decent
at all.
receivers.
Like the Lions, they need $1 million first-round picks.
So
for them to
it's
be
probably
good.
just gonna be best player available for
Dolphins,
Detroit.
at the 6th
Carolina.
pick, they can, if they nail this that 6 overall pick, they could be Super Bowl contenders. I think, honestly.
Oh wow! You think Tua's got that high of a ceiling in year 2 though?
Yeah, that's
Because
the question.
that's
But
the
they
thing
trust
for
Tua.
me. The thing for me is that
Depends on what
he
they
was
do here.
splitting time with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who I think is a really good quarterback. But if you're going to be a Super Bowl contender in year 2, hopefully it would be a guy who's good enough to right out start his first year. So I feel like the fact that he had to split time, I don't know how. I think they trust him because they did move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick. But I don't know how much they trust him and how good he'll be in his second year.
I think they trust him, but they know they have in the back of their head, like, we know this isn't foolproof yet. That's why Jacoby Brissett's now back there.
I completely forgot about that signing as well, which I think again, I think that's a great signing for that exact reason, Camden.
I like it. All right, we will be back next week to talk more NFL stuff. We'll be talking more about SimBull. Hopefully, we'll keep that partnership going with them. Thank you very much for Kenneth Giles coming on the show. And to end the show, I have one more question for you both. Kong versus Godzilla comes out today. Who wins, King Kong or Godzilla?
See, I just can't go against Kong.
I
man.
know.
I think the biggest thing
If this was
is
real
the
life,
arms.
Godzilla would murk King
probably.
Kong. But in this movie,
Sweep
Kong's
him.
got to save the humans, so it's got to be
That's
Kong.
true. I think the biggest thing for me though is the arms. He's just got the reach. He can
does have that
he
wingspan.
can
He's got
get
that-
that hands on the head and just or something, and he can just manhandle.
He's got the Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, exactly.
wingspan.
That wingspan.
He's built like KD.
Camden, how about you? Kong or
Kong
Zilla?
is a lock, I think.
I can't lie, I have no idea what you're talking about. But
King Kong,
The movie?
Godzilla.
Kong
never
versus
seen, never,
Godzilla.
never seen.
Well,
any,
it came out today.
It's coming out.
No,
Yeah, it
but
just came out today.
are there like Godzilla
All right,
movies? Like,
let
I have no idea.
me break it down simply.
All right, let me hear it.
Big monkey or big lizard? Who wins in a fight?
But the lizard also has he can
Flame-throwing.
flame.
Oh
throw.
well, yeah, he's got to if he can.
But he's like a power plane. He's got to charge up and stuff. I think. Right?
Yeah,
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to watch it, honestly.
I probably.
but-
All right.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night.